Ladies and gentlemen, joining us live via telephone all the way from the Holy Bind should be the one and only Nissim. Are you there, Nissim?
I'm here. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. So Nissim, brand new album Lemala, hitting stores in the next week or two, available digitally online already. What are the reports? How are people reacting to this album?
Baruch Hashem, I've been amazed. I mean, both those that are buying it and those that are illegally downloading it, I think both have been shocking me, Baruch Hashem, but it's been amazing. I think the biggest thing more than anything is to hear people with real passion talking about it. I've heard people tell me how much they're crying from the songs and how much it's given them chizuk to go. Those are the things that are sticking with me the most.
So the first time I've ever heard of Nissim was probably a year or two ago when you started making waves. Probably a year before that, I saw you on an Aish video. What I didn't know is that that this wasn't your first album out there. This is your, I believe, second or third album.
Right. This is my second album, since the Garrett's, which I would consider, in the Jewish world. But before that, I had released two previous albums in the non-Jewish world.
Right. From what I remember seeing from some of the videos you've put out and some of the interviews you've done, you decided to take a break from music after you went through your Garrett's, correct?
Right. All the way from the moment that I took it seriously, and when I started to I was already done. I finished all the way in, and I thought I was done for good, but it was one of those things. I had Rebbeim, I had different people, really pushing me to get back out there, telling me I'm kind of wasting a gift that Hashem gave me. Mm-hmm. And then, there's an interview online of me talking about my miraculous event that I have with this microphone. Giving Hashem this ultimatum and asking me, if it's true, then I'll go back out there. And I'm seen a nace, and from that I went to go speak to my Rebbeim, and they said, "Listen, sounds like it's something I need to do." So it's been a journey though, much.
So from secular rapper to Jewish performer, and from Seattle, Washington, all the way to Eretz Yisrael, man, you've come a long way. You've had a long journey.
I'm on a journey. Listen, all of them is all the Shemot. We're driving the whole Torah. We're talking about the journeys of all of them Yisrael. If a person doesn't travel, if he stays stuck in one place, he can't say he's a part of the Klal Yisrael. We're always moving. The Tzaddikim traveled. We all moved, from place to place. That's the whole thing about the Avodas Hashem. If a person wants to really cling to Hashem and have some type of, make some type of impact in the world, he can't stand stuck in one place. He's got to constantly be advancing.
Well, we are in Gullus, my friend, aren't we?
Yeah, damn it.
So this new album, you teamed up with a producer. Last time you produced your album yourself, his name is, I believe, Yisrael Laub in Eretz Yisrael, Little Box Records.
Yeah, right. So amazing. Yisrael's my sweetie. I love him so much. We got together, and it was really mamash and nace, because the first email I got after I got off my Aliyah flight with Nefesh B'Nefesh was from Yisrael. Now, to be honest, we get 1,000 emails a day asking for you to come check out the studio and different things like that. It just so happened that when I got off the plane, I was in much need, because I knew I needed to start working on my record. And when I first got the email, usually something that maybe I don't know if I would double look at, because there's so many of them. When I checked out his gear, I seen that he had top-notch equipment. He looked like he had amazing space. And he said he was in Base Israel right by the mirror. I was like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta check this place out. So, Baruch Hashem, and since then we became really good friends. Me, him, and my brother-in-law, Yossi Brown, all put our heads together and produced, I think, is an amazing record. It's a masterpiece in a lot of ways.
Well, we have a program here called The 9 at 9, where we count down the 9 biggest hits in Jewish music that week. This week, your song, which featured Nisanel Yisrael, was featured at number 9. And one of our listeners, a DJ in Florida named Ultrix, sent in a question. He goes, please ask Nissim, what would you answer to the people who say you don't have a quote-unquote Jewish sound?
That's a very good question. The question is this, I've been asked that before, and I kind of rephrase the question. The question is, is not so much whether or not the sound is Jewish, because there's so many different genres, even within in Judaism. You have more klezmer, you have more Shweki style, which is, more different than other guys, or, new sounds like Mordechai Shapiro. These are all different sounds. They're not the same thing. I mean, they may take pasukim from here and there, so I'm very familiar with it to some degree. But to say that Jewish music is one thing, I don't think there's an issue. But let's go to a different issue. Let's talk about godly music. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's much more of something to be discussed about. Is like the music, where it's coming from. If it's coming from a place of a kedusha, or if it's coming from a place of tuma, and that's generally based upon the person, how much the person is working on themselves as an individual, and how much the person has been able to connect and bring out some form of kedusha and the music from a pure place. And I think that with that, then we have something to talk about. And I think very much so that's what the music is. Before I started this record, before I came to Israel, I was spending 22 days in his wilderness, 6 hours every single day on this album before I recorded this record. You see what I'm saying? Not to mention all the tears and mamas. When I wrote A Million Years, I was crying in the midst of writing the song. And you know what I'm getting from people from when you ask me about feedback? People feel those tears. People feel those tefillas, and that's what's coming into the music. Now, I can't say that about every other person, and I'm not to down it, but Rav Nachman was very, very clear in Torah 3 of Likutei Moharan that the ikar of whether or not a person's a kosher musician is based on how much the person is purifying himself in the area of kedusha and the area of the yesod, and all of those things. That's what brings about. And I think that what the difference is that people, the mamish, they can feel those tefillas, they can feel those prayers.
I think that's a great answer. And you answered one of our other questions. We had a listener, Dovi, in Chicago, who wanted to know if Nissim listens to Jewish music and what type he listens to. But you're mentioning Mordechai Shapiro, you're mentioning Shweki, so I guess you've immersed yourselves in the stuff that we've been growing up with.
Right. To some degree, the truth is, I'm not a baki in Jewish music, and I'm not for sure not a baki in the Goyish world. I haven't listened to it in years, so I don't know what's going on in their world at all. Not even in the slightest. I don't know who the newest single. I don't know who's hot, who's not. I have no idea what's going on in the outside music world. In terms of Jewish music, it's names that you know because you hear and you listen, and to some degree. But for one, I don't have internet at home. I'm not on the internet trying to figure out who's the new one, who's the latest, and whatever. But I have Yeshiva Bacham every Friday night. I host about 16 to 17 boys from the Mir Yeshiva from all over. We do a big Shabbos every Friday night. So that's how I get to what's happening, And depending on the chevra, either I'm going to get what's new in Jewish music or I'm going to get who won the Super Bowl. It just depends on the chevra. But generally, I'm hearing about what's new in Jewish music. So, in terms of how much I listen to music, I barely listen to music. I have so much time. I'm learning and you know what I mean, trying to raise children and grow as an individual. So I don't listen to it as much. But a lot of guys I do listen to, like a lot of people don't know who Raz Hartman is. Raz Hartman's not close. I don't know him so much past some of the niguna, but I can hear music that comes from the neshama when I listen to him. You know what I mean? So it's I'm in it as far as I feel like I need to.
No, I understand. I definitely understand that. Sarah from Wisconsin says she wants to know if most of your songs are in English because English is your first language, or is it just that you think that people, especially the youth of today, relate better to English rather than just having all Hebrew songs?
No, I do most of them in English because I speak English better than I do any other language, and the only other language that I know is Hebrew, and I don't know it well enough. I don't feel comfortable enough that I have command over the language to do a full song in Hebrew. Well, there's not Hashem, and in the future, and in my future, hopefully we'll do something. But I think that it's just, when we talk about, I was talking about before his boldness, one of the things that Rabbi Nachman always taught was that you go out and you speak to Hashem in your own words, in the own language that you're familiar with. Why? Is because only then you can speak from the heart. Same thing with with music, and maybe some of the reason why you can connect to some musicians and some you can't is that because sometimes that when you have command over a language, you're willing to be able to pull out the most deepest emotion from the depths of the heart, as opposed to when you don't have command over a language. Part of the half of the battle is grammatically being able to convey the message. You understand what I mean? And so I didn't want to have any problems like that. So I didn't force myself to try to make a song in all Hebrew.
No, I applaud you, and I connect better with it, because even somebody like me, who grew up from birth, we speak Hebrew, we learn Chumash, we daven, but not necessarily does that mean you understand everything that you're saying at all times.
Right.
Listener Shalom in Toronto wants to know if you find it hard writing lyrics, that have to rhyme a lot of the time, or if you have to keep pulling out a thesaurus.
No, I think I've been writing, and I did my first professional record when I was 13 years old, and so since I think I started so long, I don't think it's you don't think about a lot of those things. You don't think about that this word has to rhyme. It kind of just happens naturally because the mind is programmed to do it already. Right. Sometimes if you want to be clever, then you'll take words that don't really rhyme, but you'll change the cadence of it to make them sound like they actually rhyme. So there's creative ways to do it. I try not to think too much of a science when I'm doing, because then again it won't flow as much. Right. So I'm just kind of always thinking about the flow, the overall message. First thing I do when I listen to music is I just hum over a cadence of how the rap should be, and then from then I fill in the words. The most important part is not necessarily what you say, but it's how you say it that gives it the greatest impact.
It's more about the pronunciation and enunciation than the actual word.
Right, and no, not just that. The cadence, that if I need to delay this word, or if it needs to go exactly on the snare or on the drum, what's going to make it have the greatest impact? If I stretch my mouth out and say it this way, like I did it on Tagit Todah, the song you were just talking about. Yes, I was talking at the end of the song. There's no actual rhyme at the end of when I said that, he put fire in my heart and they can't take it out. That's, it doesn't rhyme. I can't remember the last rhyme before that. It doesn't. But the way that I said it, I make it sound like it rhymes. You understand what I'm saying? So those types of things go more into play more than, in the way that you say it. Because the way that you say it means everything. Most people that start rapping, they get into it, they think that it's how many words they can fit and how many syllables that they use and how many different things like that. I think it's much more impactful is the way that you say what you say.
Very good. Nissim joining us via telephone all the way from Israel, discussing his brand new album, Lemala, available for purchase on iTunes right now, soon to hit stores in America. Nissim, listener Esty in Lakewood wants to know if you like being referred to as a rapper or more as a performer.
To be honest, is neither. One day, I hope to be known as NISSIM Black. I was there. I was just in Punta Cana, and I was with God Elbaz. We were doing a concert over Pesach. Yes. And the lady at the desk said, "Okay, and this is for NISSIM, the rapper." And I looked at God. I said, "You see, that bothers me." I said, because the first, and he was like, "Why?" He said, "You're a rapper. That's what you do." I said, "But it's not who I am. Right. It's not my essence." You understand what I'm saying? The Bill Bobby, he talks about this, Rav Itamar Schwartz, and his holiness, who cannot say his name without praises before it, I should have. And his holiness talks about this idea and his piece he does on Bitachon, that really even a person's talents and his natural abilities is not who the person is, that's that really there's an inner nakuda of a person that in it, that person finds bitachon, he finds his security, is who he is away from the rest of the world, and a person should constantly be striving to find and enter into that makom, into that space. And so for me, as a person who only raps, most of the time when I go out, I travel a lot. I'm not only rapping on the stage, I'm giving shiurim, but I'm talking about my life. When I talk about the hosting these boys Friday night, they usually stay till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're talking about the Vekas Hashem and being over there Hashem. And we're talking all day long. I don't rap not one word. I won't rap. I'm very machti not to rap in my table on Shabbos, This is who I am in the essence. This is much more of what I like to be for. Not a performer, not a rapper. Just NISSIM.
I hear what you're saying, and it's a really deep answer, but I think she was asking whether you consider, NISSIM or being a rapper as like a derogatory, or like bad way, or is that something, that you just feel is what you do?
No. Also, too, I think the answer will apply, but if it's between performer or rapper, I don't really think either one of them. They're the same thing to me.
Got it. So the brand new album Lemala features some really, really out there, up-to-date music arrangements. Who's responsible for all that, NISSIM?
That will be between Yossi Brown, Yisrael Laub, and myself. I think all three of us produced the record. Either the idea started by Yisrael, or the idea started by Yosef, or started by me. And we just we put our heads together on, I think, on each track, some were primarily handled by Yosef, and some were primarily handled by Yisrael, some were done by me. And so I think and then everything in between, we all touched together. It was like something, we had this one he said a snare, and let's change those drums. We really work as a team, all three of us, and we put our heads together. I think I'm so thrilled to have had that. I did a record a few years ago, NISSIM, and I did practically everything on that record. I didn't produce with anybody else. Maybe one I did with Aaron Diwan, from Machine Speed.
Right.
One with him. But other than that, I did the whole record on my own in my living room. It was lonely. So Hashem, and with this, I feel like it has so much life, so much more chiyus, because it's got more people involved. It's
also probably kind of humbling like that, because you'd probably produce it one way, and over here you have somebody saying, "Hey, maybe we should do something different."
Right. Which is it's a great thing. It's good to hear what other people. Sometimes it's just, I think that a lot of times it's the best way that projects are brought out.
So the album in question, Lemala, released on iTunes a month ago, features 14 tracks in all. Hashem Melech 2.0 on there. A Million Years, which we just discussed, music video already over 1 million hits, and Tagit Toda. NISSIM, they released a promo for Fly Away for the music video. It looked like it was supposed to come out a few days ago. Do we have any updates on that?
The update is, yes, the final cut is stowed away and hidden on YouTube, and Bezat Hashem, we're going to make it live, and then by the top of next week. So,
wow, looking forward.
We apologize to everybody who was waiting for it on the 13th of Lag Baomer, but on the 13th, which was Lag Baomer. But for whatever reason, so it's one of those things, you just had to be right. We couldn't release something just out there. It had to be right. So because we care about everybody else and obviously about ourselves, we didn't want to release it on the 13th.
No, well, we appreciate it. NISSIM with us via telephone talking about his brand new album, Lemala, Jewish Entertainment Network. Before we leave, we're going to play you out with Fly Away, NISSIM. I don't have the lyrics with me because all I got was a digital download from Shlomi and everybody. What can you tell me about Fly Away? What is Fly Away talking about?
I think when I just brought up this idea from the Bilvavi of Bitachon, of entering into that place of security, that the person, a lot of times all of us we're looking for some place where I need to fly away from, whether my environment is it, whether my my job or the place that I grew up, or this issue. Everybody has the set of issues, the list of issues. But in order to really fly away to a place that you're going to really truthfully be away, it's an inner place. It's flying away to the real you, the inner you of who you truly are. And when you enter into that place, you'll be far away from everything. Even if you're in the midst of all the turmoil in the world, a person can enter into a place of true peace and true Yeshua Dat when they find the inner place and the inner makom. So that's what the song's really about.
Wow, very deep. NISSIM, I want to thank you. I want to wish you Hatzlacha Rabbah.
Amen, 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 amen. And you should only see success in everything that you do. Thank you for all of your support. And it doesn't go unnoticed what you're doing, not only for me, but to promote Jewish music. It's been been amazing. Every time I see you, your face is like it's almost like a columnist on the newspaper or whatever. It's very well branded. That smile is very well branded. I want to let you know that. So
I appreciate it. Well, I took the smile from you, so I'm trying to upscale you. Nissim, have a great summer. Toda rabba. Ladies and gentlemen, Nissim all the way from Eretz Yisrael.